So what are all containers we have? Right, if I use EJBs, right, if I use in simple core Java concepts, we used to use new object, new keyword we will use. Otherwise, in real-time application development, in rare cases only, you will be using new. Apart from that, your MVC classes, controller service, DO classes objects will be created by containers. So in EJB's case, we used to create object and that we used to register in WebLogic naming services or directory services. So from there, whoever needs that object, they used to look up that object. So we need to register an object that need to be looked up, whoever needs it. But when it comes to Spring, we will configure all the classes, MVC classes from controller to, right? Only one dispatcher servlet will be running on Tomcat. The remaining complete Spring application classes, whichever you implement, will run on IOC. And that too, this dispatcher servlet is a predefined class. You are not going to write this class. This is a predefined class. Okay. Even this you need to configure in web.xml file. Even if you go to Spring Boot, this configuration also not required. You never see this part Tomcat and dispatcher servlet, but internally they have that setup. Okay, so whatever we realize in MVC, that makes clear how Spring Boot also will work. Okay, so whatever number of classes you write for your application development, I mean implementation of your use cases, all your controllers, services, DAOs, connection pools, everything we configure in Spring XML file and we load it into IOC. So this register concept is there in Spring up to 3 version, and in advanced concepts even you need not to register. Spring itself it will do self register. Okay, Spring itself will do self registration, which means via annotations concepts, right? When I annotate my controller classes, service, do classes and configuration classes, automatically your IOC container will go to each and every package and it will search and gets registered. Like how we people, if we need a voter ID, we go and get the voter ID registration. When elections approaches, government people will come to each and every door and they will do the registration. Okay, instead of you go and register, Spring will come to you and it will register all the objects. And wherever that objects is required, wherever that objects are required, right, via dependency injection concept, we can able to do the dependency injection. So even Spring also will do this dependency injection automatically. But first we will learn how manually it used to happen. Then we will see automatic approach, how automatically objects creating and how automatically dependency injection happening. So why these two concepts are very important? Objects creation and dependency injection means without object we can't do anything, right? So that is the key point. If if a controller needs a service object, compulsory this controller object is required, service object is required, and this object should pass to this a object, a controller object via dependency injection concept. Then only I can able to take forward my request, right? If I wanted to call something, I need objects of that class. So if you leave that job to containers, containers will prepare objects in a better way than us. And via dependency injection, the same object whatever container registered, right, that you can able to get it. Okay, so this is how Spring entirely it will work. All the modules will work using the same principles only. Okay, these two are the basic principle: creation of your class object and doing dependency injection. So during your object creation, it may provide special capabilities to each class. Okay, that we will see later. Okay, so now we understand that all these classes, since from controller to database layer, whatever Java classes you are going to implement, all that Java classes are going to run on IOC only. Okay, so your IOC is only the responsible container to create all that objects. If there is any issue, null pointer exception or object not found, straight away the issue you need to check with your IOC only. The problem, it may be with IOC with if object is not available or null pointer exceptions if you are getting, If it is XML based approach, you need to go to XML and you should verify whether that object is properly configured or not. If it is annotations approach, you need to go and check them whether your annotation is properly mentioned it or not. Okay, so if you maintain everything properly, IOC will help you to create objects and to do the dependency injection. In old approach, we used to do this way. Okay, we used to create classes and we should configure them in XML file, then we load it into IOC. This is old approach. In new approach, we create classes and automatically IOC will read that classes. In new approach, okay, we just create classes with annotations. With annotations, then step 2, IOC will search and find classes and create objects. Then create objects, and it used to do dependency injection also. Okay, the new approach is very simple. They avoid a lot of configuration stuff. The configurations will create a lot of headache, right? Manually, if you are doing everything, always you should carefully configure them. If that is doing by someone, automatically lot of problems will be avoided here. Okay, not only that is not only the reason, we can save a lot of time and productivity also we can achieve, that we will discuss. Now first let's see the example how these classes will be configured in XML file and how they will create objects. These IOC containers are not special softwares like Tomcat or WebLogic. Whenever you need WebLogic or WebSphere, we used to download them. You know, Tomcat. Tomcat here. I have Tomcat somewhere in D drive. Ah. So this is the Tomcat software. Okay, that you need to download and install it for servlets. Come on, somewhere it is there in downloads only. So, so you need to download that special software and you have to install it. Then only you can able to configure your application into it and you can run this. So when it comes to Spring, it's not a special software. They given in the form of jar file only, your IOC containers. So these jar files are available with the name spring core.jar and the spring context jar. In these two jar files, we have two containers. In Spring Web jar file, there is one more container, Spring Web. Here in this first jar file, we have Bean Factory. In second jar file, we have application context. And the third jar file, web jar file, right, is having web application context. Spring web jar. చెప్తున్నారు. Yeah. So we have three containers. These containers are part of this libraries only, jar files only. Just you need to add via Maven or directly you can download and add to class path. Okay, so do it in any way. These jar files containing your container classes. Okay, your IOC container classes, bean factory, application context, web application context. In real time, we are using this web application context. Okay, these all are the predefined classes are part of your jar files only. First, we will start learning with bean factory, then application context. Okay, application context is having almost all the features of web application context apart from the web features. Okay, anyway, let's see how bean factory works and how application context work here. Okay, so the basic principles of these containers are same: creation of objects, dependency injection. Okay, the main features are same. We'll see how to code it. Okay, use Eclipse. Yeah, this is Eclipse 2019. You can download latest. Okay, 2019 06 version. You may get 2022 or 23 latest version. Okay, download it. Earlier we used to have. Now they are mentioning with the years. About Eclipse IDE. Eclipse ID for enterprise version. Yeah, this is the version. Accept contributor. Earlier we used to have these names, as I said, Mars, Galileo. There are many names. Oh, I'll tell you. Lombok or Lombok. Yeah, you just create, for your project, go to build path and add jar file. I'll show you how. Okay. So I'm creating here a simple Java project. Okay. First example about your IOC, just to create Java project. And for your practice, right, once you create this Java project, do this. Go to blog. Here, download the jar files. Okay, download these jars. Okay, you'll be getting all the jars here, and that jars only I'm adding into class path now. So just to right click on your project to add jars, right? Go to build path, configure build path, add external jars in this library section, right? Go to add external jars, and these are the jars that I have downloaded. Okay, so here Spring 4, there are many jar files, but what I need is Spring Core context related jars, and one beans jar file, ASM, and expressions, and the three jar files are enough. But always I used to add all the jars. Expression support and other libraries. It is using ASM libraries, helper libraries actually for it. Okay. Now we are using everything via Maven, right? Earlier we used to add the jar files. We get all of them through Google only. Okay. It's a repository for your jars, a global repository. There all jar files will be available. Spring, Java, any framework jars will be available. So that while using Maven from that central repository, automatically it will download. Just you need to mention that jar name. That's it. Maven will download and it will add to your class path. Here we are, trying old approach. Yes, yes. Yeah. In Maven directly we can add that dependencies. Yeah. Yes. In form.xml also we can add that configurations automatically that it will add to your class path. Maven will, take care of downloads and adding them to class path. This is the old approach. This is how, first Java started. Then using Ant we used to build. So even in Ant also we used to provide these libraries. And once Maven came into picture, right, you need not to add anything. But in real time, even we don't use actually Maven to get everything. Instead of Maven, a private, repositories people will use, private artifactories. So there they will put some, uh, blogs or download library. Only that library only we can able to add. Okay, now coming to this, let me create few classes here. Consider I'm writing some controller classes and some service classes here and some BO classes. Just I'll write a plain Java class. Consider I'm writing a car. It is a controller. Engine. Consider it is like a service. Fuel is like a DAO. Okay. Now these three classes objects I wanted to create. Okay. From my controller to DAO, as we discussed, right? All these classes objects will be created by IOC only. So now I have car is a controller service, engine is a service, and fuel is a DAO. So I wanted to create this class objects. Generally in core Java, you will be using new keyword. Okay. Let us do that as well. If it is a core Java approach, what you will do, or object, engine object, fuel object. And in each class, I'll write one method, public void, fuel name, somebody texting me. Hello, am I audible to everyone? Hello, am I audible? Oh, no way. Got disconnected. Now I'm audible, right? Yeah. So screen. Okay. So what I was telling, yeah, yeah, one two people playing, not only for okay for you and one more guy. Oh, both numbers are yours. Okay. Yes, sure. So here I have car object, and here I have fuel object, and here I have engine object. So in fuel class, I have a fuel method name called fuel name petrol, and in engine I have one method public void engine cc 1500 cc engine, and in car class I have one method public void car name, something RDQ7. Now if I want to call this class methods, car class method or engine class method or fuel class methods in core Java approach, I'll write here I have one package core Java client main class. Here if I need car class methods, I should create car object car c equal to new car, and if I need engine class methods, I need to call engine. Excuse me guys, just a minute. ఏం స్వాతి ఒక్క నిమిషం వస్తున్నా. Just a minute guys. Okay, so here I want to create engine class object to call engine methods, and if you want to call fuel methods, you need to create fuel class object. So this is the core Java approach. Whenever you want to call some class methods, you need to create object, and that methods you can able to call. C dot car name, engine dot engine cc, fuel dot fuel name. Hmm? Now I can run this so that objects will be created, methods also will be executed. So car object created, then when I call car name method, car name is printing. So when I create engine object is created, and I can able to see engine cc via e dot engine cc method. Then fuel object is created, then I can able to see fuel name. So these all are the output statements as per our execution. So this object is created at this line, and the statement is executed at this line, and this when you call engine cc it is printing it. Fuel object created when you created by using new keyword, and the fuel name we are able to see here. Now the same thing with the spring if I want to do it with the Spring, if you want to do it, objects you need not to create first thing. Imagine, okay, you are avoiding this object creation. Spring will be creating these objects. Then next question, whenever you want to use that object to call your methods, Spring only will provide you that objects. So two steps that we need to learn: how to create objects of these classes and how to utilize that objects. Okay. First thing, to use Spring, first thing you need to create one XML file. I'll be creating a different package for it. Resources. Create one XML file here. New file. Okay. Spring.xml. Name it anything. Okay. No, nothing mandatory to maintain. Naming conventions here. So in this Spring.x, hello, is it with everyone? Huh? Is it okay? Okay. So maybe your internet fluctuating. Uh, are you able to see now? Maybe. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, maybe something lagging from your side. Okay. Check it. Yeah, no problem. So here, while using the Spring XML file, we need to add DTD or schema here. DTD or XSD XML schema definition. DTD or XSD we have to use while using XML based configurations. So let me copy DTD. DTD is available in one of its jar files, I believe. Doc type definition. XML is a strictly typed, okay? We should not use our tags. Let's say if I configure my tag Andhra class something, it won't accept. Getting right? If you put something name which you want, it should not allow. So who will control that? This DTD will control. If you put DTD will strictly make you follow only the tags which is suggested by Spring. Okay? All your tags definitions will be there as part of DTD. While you are loading this XML into container, right? First container will read your DTD and understand what tags you can able to use. So based on that, it will validate your tags first. Okay. So to make to use strictly whatever tags it given, right? Only the tags only we can able to use. So who will take care means your DTD. So DTD you can see here. Yeah, Spring Beans DTD. See, so many DTDs available. Open this Spring Beans DTD file. Go to line number somewhere 36. Here you have DTD. Okay, copy this DTD 36 37 line as part of Spring Beans .dtd. It is there in your. If you see, it is there in your. Here you can see the path. org Spring Framework .beans 3.0.1 release. Go to Spring Beans jar. Go to the Spring Beans jar file. Okay, org.springframework.beans hyphen 3.0.1, and in that use this factory.xml package. In that you have one DTD file, Spring Beans hyphen DTD. Get this, okay? This one or this one. Here also you have one more DTD, okay? You may copy that. That is Spring 2 version DTD. Now the version is latest, like Spring 5, and nowhere we are using DTD schemas only. In first releases, right, we used to use this DTD files. We used to configure the DTD files here. Okay. Now DTD is configured. Now the main root tag in the Spring XML file. is beans. Any XML, right, will have only one root tag, not many. So this is the one root tag beans. Within this beans, you need to create your library here. I mean your classes here. So in core Java approach, I created car class object, I created engine class object, I created fuel class object, right? Now the same object creation, if I want to do here, if I want to do that here, same object creation, I can't use new keyword. So if you want to do this, there is a alternative for it. Let me comment it. So to create object, you need to use this tag, bean class name, your class fully qualified path. It is there in controller dot car. So your class name you should configure here, and which ID you wanted to use, put that ID here. Like your bean reference. C is the reference, right? You put here. Now this is equivalent to this. Okay, this line is equivalent to this. Same way, you know, right, what to do with engine and fuel. Now tell me, how do I configure here engine? I need to use bean tag, and I need to specify my class name here. Engine is part of which package? Service package. Service dot engine and ID E. Yes, fully qualified path. Fully qualified path. These are only my package names. I am not using com dot something. Just four different packages I have. Controller, DAO, service. So service class conf. Resource package. Inside resource package, we have this XML file. Within that XML file, I am configuring my classes are from which folder. Okay. Car class is there in controller. Engine is there in service. Fully qualified path we need to give always. Yes. Source means your package name. SRC is a general directory. From, from there, whatever package you create, right? Com dot ICICI dot web dot something. If you have, you need to specify that fully qualified class. Yes. So DAO dot yes below source. But in latest concepts, you never do that. Automatically, it will do component scanning of all your packages. That we will see in next level. Okay. Fuel. So fuel class object also it will create. ID is equal to F. Now I mentioned alternative for object creation here. For car object creation, this is the code. For engine object creation, this is the code. And for fuel object creation, this is the code. Will it works? Let's see. Instead of core Java approach, now use your IOC and run it. I'm writing client class IOC client. I'll be writing here. Main method. So I wanted to use bean factory here. So to use bean factory first, I should read my XML file using this resource. I can read resource r equal to new class path resource. So what I need to read here? Okay, yeah, I'll do that. So this will search. Hmm. So it will search file. No shortcut actually. If you know the class name, right, type it resource. I know the first three characters. So once after entering three characters, what I'm doing, control space. It will show some what are all classes available with res. So I know I required the class name resource from this core package. So I just double clicked on it. So resource came here. Same with class path resource. I entered class path, then control space. It is showing class path resource. Now here I need to pass my package name, resources slash my XML file name, spring dot XML. What I'm doing here, once done with all your coding, you need to configure it XML file. You need to register it. Then you need to load it into IOC. So I registered all my classes into XML file, and I'm trying to loading it into IOC. Here that is happening. Load into IOC. What is my IOC class name? Bean factory is equal to new XML bean factory. So first to create resource reference and pass that reference here. So resource means your file, like file input streams, right? File f equal to new file. We create file reference now. This is also similar to that. So this resource class will helping you to read XML file from this location, and that XML file reference I am passing here. Now this bean factory will start execute. Let's run it. This is your container like Tomcat. So when you run it, what will happen? See. So it is giving some output here. Warning, no appenders could be found logger. And warning, please initialize the log4j system properly. Okay. So these all are the simple warnings I am getting. No errors apart from it. No errors. Means your XML file is looking fine to it. Otherwise in XML file if I put some invalid tags, Naveen and something, if I put like this is invalid tag actually. If I try to load it, it used to give a lot of exceptions. What is your tag? What is your attribute? I'm not getting it. Invalid. It is saying invalid. Next the exception is sax parser is saying attribute name Naveen. Element type Naveen must be followed. Something it is saying. Okay, even if I follow XML rules also, it won't allow because that is not mentioned in the DTD. As part of DTD, whatever tags you have, if you see open this DTD file, right, you can see all the definitions, which tags you can able to use. Beans tag, what is this beans tags can contain as a child, import alias and bean. And if you go to bean tag, what are all that bean tag can have properties, and what attributes beans tag, major beans tag is having, what are all the tags it have, import and alias, and what child tags you have as part of bean, meta, constructor, argument, property, lookup, child tags, and what are all attributes it have. Attributes list for bean tag id. Attributes means along with bean tag, after bean, right, we can use this properties. If you see here, this is bean and I'm using one class attribute, one id attribute. Child tags means between this bean and bean, whatever occurring, those are the child tags. So if I see here in this DTD file, I can see attributes after bean tag, right? Within the tag ID, I can use name, I can use class, I can use, and parent also I can use. Whatever tags are allowed, all the tags are showing here. Scope, abstract, lazy init. There are so many attributes that I can use. Hmm? Autowire, dependency check, depends on, autowire candidate, init method, destroy method. All these are attributes, not only child's attributes, everything is mentioned. Whatever tags there they given, only the tags I can use. Should not use my own tags. Okay. Now, when I loaded it with the proper tags, no exceptions or no errors it is showing. It is properly loading. Now now the major part is I wanted to create all these objects. You said first these objects will be created, car object, engine object, fuel object, but no, that objects are not created yet. Why? Because this bean factory, until unless you call whichever object you need, right? You need to mention I need car class object with car class ID. If I mention this car class ID and if I ask my core container, then it will create object. So whatever object it is created, right, that object will be provided to you. Here in this step, it will create object and get that object. Okay. So whenever you execute this line, right, object is usually will be created. Car object. Car object is created now. Same way. If you want to consume this object, get this. Okay. I prepared ice cream to eat it. I am getting it into cone. So here is my car object. I am getting into my car reference so that I can consume it. Car dot car name method. Yes. Whenever you call get bean and when you mention your reference, then it will execute your class constructor. This constructor will be called by Spring. You are not doing it. Spring doing it for you. Earlier what you did using new keyword you called it. Now Spring doing it on behalf of you. Okay? You guys getting? When you do this, it is creating for you. Now I can call c.carname. Car object created and the car name is already Q7. What about other objects? We can get them. Use bean factory dot get bean of engine. So here you will get engine object. Get it into engine, typecast to engine, and we can call engine dot get engine CC. Just a minute, guys. Hello, Anna, 5 minutes आगे इसका class वाला. Okay. And if I run it now, I can get engine object, I can get engine CC also. Engine object created and CC getting printed. And one more object. I need fuel object. Bean factory dot get bean of F fuel it will give. Get that fuel object here and call fuel dot fuel. Car object, engine object, fuel object. Actually, I am getting a object of car. This is framework method, right? So this framework method should support you to get any object. So the return type of this getBean is object. Your object will be given in the form of object. So I am doing downcasting it. Typecasting object to my required type. I know that this object is car object. So I am typecasting it into my car. Otherwise you can't typecast this C to engine. Okay. C is belongs to car. I know that confidently. So that's why I am typecasting it. Okay. Yeah. But here you understand, right? I'm not using new keyword anywhere. Then who did this for you? Yeah, yeah. This is ID only. Uh, exactly, exactly. Same ID I'm using to call it. Otherwise, it cannot recognize. Okay. There is one more way also. We will see it later. But you got the concept right. So when I call this factory dot get bean method of my required reference, then it is creating object. Okay. This is lazy container basically. We call it as lazy. Why? The reason is until you are calling, it is not creating any object. But if you go to the next container, right, this one, application context will not wait for your request. It will create objects first. It will create objects first and it will keep it in hand. Okay. Oh, we will talk about the differences tomorrow. Okay, na? For now, huh, if it is a parent type, generally framework, right? This is the framework class. Bean factory is a framework class. Bean factory dot get bean. So this framework class is capable to bring you any object when you pass ID of car or engine or fuel or A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z, whatever class name you mention here, it will bring that object to you in the form of object type. It know that your object is car object only, but it will give in the form of object type. So when something is there in your parent class, right, you should able to typecast it. You should typecast it to get actual object of it. Okay. All classes in Java are childs of object class. Okay, so that's a reason get been. I mean, what do while during framework, what they thought is okay. Uh, Developers may create any class for his requirements. All classes are by default childs for objects in Java. You don't need to extend it. Any class is child for object class only. So as they know that object class is parent for all the classes, here getBean method returning in the form of object only. So you comfortably convert into your required type. Yes, comfortably you can convert. Or else there is one more approach. Directly you can get it also. If you want to avoid this typecasting problem, right? You can directly do this way also without doing typecasting. Mention to this getBean method, I need car class object directly. Check for this car class. Is there any car class mentioned? Class with car. Yes, I mentioned here. So directly that object you will be getting here. No need to use any ID here. Direct way. This is direct way. But you need to mention here your class name directly. If you looks this is easy, use the second approach. Engine dot class. I am asking getBean, give me engine class object directly. So you need not to typecast. Instead of giving ID, you can directly pass which class object you want. So this is also possible. In this case, you need not to remember IDs. Car object created, engine object created, fuel object created, and I can able to call methods of. Okay, this way or this way, get your object, whichever you comfortable. Are you guys clear? Yeah. So tomorrow we will see application context and I'll explain you differences between both the containers and the object scopes also. We need to have some more depth discussion that we will do tomorrow. Okay? Yeah, but definitely you will be getting it. Yeah. Huh. As I said right first, uh, double click on Lombok. Just download Lombok jar file first, okay? Do the steps, remember, okay? Step 1, download Lombok. Uh, Step 2, you installed it, right? Once you installed it, just go to build path, configure build path, add external jars, wherever you downloaded your Lombok jar, right? Same jar file again, or else after installation, right? After installation, Go to program files. You will be seeing one Lombok folder here. Somewhere in your installation directory or somewhere it will provide Lombok plugins. Or go to .m2 folder. Users. Okay. So general I used to go to M2 directory. Here in repository Lombok. Lombok extension is org dot. Is it not org? IO project Lombok somewhere. Project somewhere project Lombok jar files will be available. Uh, this is direct to the Lombok jar file. Let me add it and see. Okay. Let me write one bean class. This is not related to your string. Yeah. Yeah. Of course, you need to add. Maybe in Maven you need to add the dependency. Otherwise, for compile time, it may work properly. When you shift to next environment, your application will not work. Private string name. Now, if you want a setter getter methods for it, generally we write setter method and getter method. To avoid this setter method, we will use at the rate setter. So you need not to write this setter. To avoid this getter, we put at the rate getter. And now setter and getter will be provided to your method. And if you want a constructor, hmm, yes, uh, yeah, just go to directly build path and add Lombok jar. Go to build path, configure build path, add external jars, LOMBOK. Yeah, add this. Just add it, apply it. That's it. And if that you have to do first. Okay. What else you can provide? Default constructor, no argument constructor you can provide. Instead, you writing it via this annotation you can. And you can provide all argument constructor. You can provide toString method. If I write all this lot of code you might see here, but divided everything. It looks like a simple class, but this class is having setter methods, getter methods, no argument constructor, all argument constructor, and toString also. If you want hash code method, at the rate toString. Hmm. Build to your class. I should see. Hmm. Yes, in POM also you can add. End of the day, whatever you are adding in the POM, it will add to your class path only. That is the main thing that end of the day it should do, right? Without available in the class path, nothing will work for you. You do with and Maven, yes. When you add, it will do more than that. Yeah, when something you add in a POM, it will get that library from internet and it will download into Maven directory. From there, it will add to your class path. Okay. Build path.